Starting. What do you have to say, Lulu?
I'm eating my mom's face because she called me a face eater.
Okay. Well, now I got it on me.
You ready, guys? It was all over the place.
Ready? Ready.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
So good.
Welcome back to the Wand About Birth podcast. We are three birth professionals.
And best friends.
And we're here to talk about what it's really like to live in the world of birth.
It's not all glitter and rainbows.
Or as we like to say, it's a lot more shit than giggles. I'm Kim Haynes, midwife at his busy birth center and busy home birth practice.
I'm Meredith Rao, also midwife at the same home birth practice.
And I'm Jess McKee. I'm a doula for clients in and out of the hospital and also a birth assistant with you two favorite people at our out-of-hospital practice.
Yeah.
Listen, we've already driven to Pennsylvania and
we did.
back today.
And you got sushi.
So I'm allowed to slur my words.
That's fine.
Listen,
and we're also allowed to do a short episode today.
It's so weird
Yes.
that you slurred your words because for some reason when I was starting my lines, like usually they just come out and I was like, did I say that right? What's happening? What am I supposed to say?
Yeah, because now it's just so rote. We don't have to think about it anymore.
Yeah, but it was weird. My brain got scrambled for a minute and I was like, I don't know if I did that right.
I have to make sure I don't look forward because if I see
Just
myself,
stare at myself.
I'm like, what? I guess I can move that closer.
I also want to
Actually.
acknowledge, like, when we were saying it's not a lot of glitter and rainbows, I was thinking it's a lot of fucking flour. So if you guys see us covered in a white powder during this episode, it's flour, not cocaine. Because Jess's daughter tried really hard to clean up after herself, but failed miserably.
She was doing a craft.
Crafting.
It's not dirty in my house. It's crafty.
If I did any kind of stitching, I would stitch you a little wall hanging for that, but I don't do that.
No, we need one that says enteritis at your own risk.
Yeah, no, I want a
That's
sign
very
for that
true.
for the door.
So we're going to do a precipitous episode for a precipitous subject.
Yeah.
That's our fancy way of saying we're doing a short episode today because we're running out of time.
And, I mean, I know we've done a lot of episodes about precipitous births and fast births and stuff, but
It's
gosh,
still
we've been
happening.
having so many.
So many.
And you just totally talked with your microphone down.
I'm glad that people can
I
see
wanted
this
Lily to
now.
have a moment.
I'm glad people can see that. Are you holding it to your labia?
Yeah, but my labia are like blocking the sound because they're so large.
I just pictured your intratus and your vulva going.
Wah, 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 wah.
But I'm excited to talk about car births today.
I know, but
even though I
before-
wasn't at the one.
Before we talk about car births, though, didn't you do Meredith's prenatal
I
yesterday?
I want to
It's
talk about
embarrassing.
Meredith's swelling and
don't
her
wanna talk.
edema.
Because this baby's on my right side, so they're just like literally crushing my inferior vena cava, so I'm not getting any blood flow up from my legs.
So we made it through most of the visit, and then I was like, well, let me see this swelling. And she goes, no. And she pulls her feet up, and I was like, Meredith, hold still. She goes, no, I don't wanna. And then she kept pulling further and further until she was laying completely back, holding on to both of her
Oh
legs.
my god.
I'm just feeling so triggered because my grandmama's legs were massive in her 80s because she had blood flow problems. I'm like, this is what... My grandma's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I love her dearly. She should never change ever. But she's passed away, so it's a little awkward. But...
It's like-
Did she come back?
She should not-
From-
she should- I'm glad she was always
From
who she
the
was when
beat?
she was alive. But now I'm like, I know exactly what my legs are gonna fucking look like when I'm 80 years old. It's gonna be
So
terrible.
Terrence is just like, Meredith. And she's like, I don't wanna know. And she kept like
I was like
screaming
trying
and
to throw my legs up the wall so you couldn't get to them, but my body
course
wouldn't,
I'm
my
like-
belly like wouldn't let me do it.
I'm like swatting at her. Cut that out. And she's like, no, don't touch me. I don't want you to touch
I'm
me.
pretty sure that's when Carrie Ann walked in the room also. So she probably
Yeah, and
was
I'm like
what? The
leaning
fuck
over her, trying to get at
is
her legs.
happening?
And her legs are up in the air, and Carrie Ann's like, hey.
If any of that starts to happen during your birth, I'm just gonna make sure to video it and send it immediately to Patreon.
Yeah.
It's fine.
It's
This is
happening.
true. That's how you guys are gonna hold me accountable for labor. Is if I'm acting fucking weird, you're gonna like just post it immediately on social media.
I feel like you would kill us literally.
I would literally murder you. And I would love you.
That's what I do to my
But I'd
kid when
murder
she's
you.
acting like that. I'll be like, tink. Be like, if you don't want anyone to see it, if you're mad that I'm videotaping it, maybe you shouldn't be acting like that. And then she
I
gets
did that
more
slow
mad.
motion to Max one time when he was doing one of his freakouts. I went, just go. And he goes, don't You
Yeah,
dare.
I know. That's what she does too. She'll be like, so if you do that to us.
I feel like if we were kids and that was an option, we'd be like, fuck it, I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Oh, I would just have been worse.
Yeah, let me show how bad it can actually
Let me show
be.
my actual ass since you've got your photo out.
Oh, I thought about you the other night because Penny's like gotten really into dancing and she's loving it, but part of her dance routine is she likes to moon people. Now I'm like, oh, we got like a new person in our tribe who likes to moon people.
Rob won't keep his pants up.
Well, that's a different story.
He keeps doing it. He's like, look at it, look at it, look at it. I'm like, stop showing your ass. He did it at the box office.
Did he
Yeah, he
really?
was dancing. He was like, hey.
Oh,
Mom.
no.
And I was like, oh my God, he just moved the entire crowd.
We had a very, very, very important discussion about when it's appropriate
Yes.
to moon and when it's not. So hopefully we're not going to get there.
Oh my. So, yeah, today we're talking about car births because this week there's been a influx of...
a
Plethora.
sudden influx of car
Which,
births.
I mean, that keeps happening to us, not the car births, but it's like we just have like a theme of things that happened all for like 1 month or all for a week, and then
Yeah.
it just keeps happening over and over and over
And I feel like
again.
that is birth. Like, things usually come in threes, but I feel like it's, like, super heightened in the last month.
Yes.
It's been even more consistent.
But, so before we launch into some of our stories about car births, because we do have a birth story of the week, but I think we should share it during our second half, since
Yeah.
that's the birth story of the week.
Definitely.
So what are some things, I know we've talked about like our reminders for if baby's coming fast, but I think Kim, you should do it because the birth that we just had, remember she said that your words were just in her head in the back of the
Oh, yeah, that was
I
really
was
sweet.
like, I'm sorry. I just like envision her careening down I-81 with my voice playing over and over in her head.
My personal hell.
Yeah, I know.
Sounds
Like
like
Alfred Hitchcock.
Sounds like my life every day.
The birds.
The bird.
The birds.
Oh my gosh, we should make a short about that.
With all the stuff flying in the car.
It'll just be like your head like floating out of thin air, just like talking.
I think that there are certain people that you know have a chance that will happen to, right?
Yes.
So it's usually like, oh, your first labor was only 3 hours long or 6 hours or whatever. But also when their contraction pattern is a certain way, I feel like there's a really good chance that could happen. Or if you're having a lot of prodromal labor, I feel like there's a chance that could happen. But my
Yeah.
thing is, I just always tell people, if baby's coming that fast, it's because everything is fine, like 99% of the time. So just stay calm.
And I feel like that's what people hear the most. Like when you're giving
Yeah.
that spiel, you never really know what people are absorbing, but yeah, like she said about hearing your voice, I feel like my clients also say too, that's what I remember you saying. Is
Yeah,
that
that if
everything's
it happens
going
that
well.
fast, it's not. I mean, it's scary in the moment because you're like, oh my God, I'm pushing a baby out of my body and no one's here. But if it's that fast, it's usually totally fine. So I just tell them, like, all you have to remember is it's probably 100% okay and dry and warm, that's it. You don't have to do anything with the cord. You don't have to worry about the placenta. You don't have to do anything weird with the baby. Just put them on you and keep them dry and keep them warm. That's it.
People get so freaked out about it. Do you remember, I think you were there the time that Juliana was talking, and Juliana is like a CNM, and she had a home birth practice here back in the 80s for a long time, and
Yeah.
she was the one who introduced me to midwifery and out-of-hospital birth, and she was giving a talk one time, and she started talking about like fast births or births where they don't make it to their birthplace or whatever. And I just remember her talking about like somebody said like, and then the baby just came out in my pants and landed in my sweats, and she was just like, that's such a lucky baby.
Isn't that wonderful?
To be comforted into that soft
Sweats-
warmth immediately.
Sweats are a great place for a baby to come out to. There's so many things that are worse than that.
If you ever want to take a situation that you don't think anybody can twist into a positive,
Yeah.
take that to Juliana and she will make it sound like the most amazing,
Yes.
beautiful experience you've ever had in your entire life.
There's a woman, Miss Glenn Cameron, who I love so much, at FSTM when I went there. And you know
What's
me,
F-
the Florida School of
Traditional
Traditional Midwifery. She worked in the office, and I panic. What? So
No,
every time.
not at
something-
birth, ever.
No.
In life.
In life. So I'd be like, oh my God, Glenn. And she'd be like, Kim, just need you to say take a deep breath. That's it. No, deeper. We're deeper. And then we're going to blow it out. What a beautiful day it is today. What is it that you would like to say? I'm like, well, I don't know now. I'm so calm. I forgot what I was freaking out about.
I was going to say, I thought that was going in a different direction. I thought you'd be like, oh, I feel so calm. Because I feel like if someone tried to do that to you now, you'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, that's not what I need right now.
Well, I don't know, because I often wonder, like, I try to do that for Chuck, but we're not good for each other when it comes
I
to
don't
that.
feel like I could do that to you. I'm just like, let her just get it out, freak out, and it'll pass.
Yeah, but it works when Glenn does it. So it's the same thing. It didn't matter what was happening or what test was coming. She'd be like, it is a beautiful day. Today is amazing. The sun is shining.
It's also like, what are you taking?
Right. No, she's just so amazing. She used to do, she did a caravan and they delivered babies and she's just like Ina May. But she's super warm and just sunshine. She's just sunshine. Anyway.
So basically the point of that was that, if
Speaking
the baby's coming in the car, it's okay. So
it's okay.
So we had a little bit of a debate, a master debate, we could say.
Really good at
that. Over whether the car should get pulled over or not get pulled over.
Yes, and we...
Was that a conversation you guys had this morning on the way here?
Yes.
We had the conversation with the couple that we went to see this morning, and then Layla and I had the debate back and forth when we did the Midwifery Wisdom YouTube thing, and I'm like, you always pull over, and she's like, you never pull over.
Oh, really? I feel like I'm 100% on the team of like, pull the car over, please. Take something off of your plate.
We'll tell you what they said, because...
Yes, what her decision was.
Yes.
The client that you saw this morning.
But what we decided was that everybody's different, and some people would prefer you to pull over, and some people would prefer you to keep going.
Interesting.
So,
is that what they wish they... Because they stopped, the ones you saw this morning. Oh, they did.
No.
Are they happy that they didn't?
No, Layla. They didn't.
We'll tell the story.
Okay, sorry. I'm excited to hear it.
Of the week. But I don't know. What would you prefer? I think I would definitely prefer the pullover, and then I would also like it to be videoed.
You prefer the pullover method?
Yeah, the pullover method.
I just don't prefer the pull-out method. I'm fine with that.
Well, the pull-out method might make the pullover method have to happen, so...
Unless you're really good at, like, one-handed.
Yes. So I think that if it were me, which it never will be because I'm never pushing a baby out of my body ever again, that I would prefer to have the car pulled over and also to get a video because...
Why not? I could be YouTube famous.
I know, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have that saved for forever.
I think before I had Evie, I would have said I prefer the pullover method, but since I was able to stay in my brain and deliver Evie's head, and I would have delivered Oliver if it weren't for her short cord.
Yeah.
But I think now, if it were me, I would want Chuck to keep going. Yeah. And just get to where we were going.
Because you'd want to get where you felt safe and could just just chill afterwards.
I just don't feel like I don't know. I just felt like Evie's birth was so empowering. I don't need help. Like, I'll just do it myself. But then when I had Brock, I was like, fuck this, I'm not doing anything. So I honestly don't know. I think in the moment, I would either be like, pull over, or keep going, and I don't know what.
Because I would even say, like, as a first-time mom, I would assume I'd want to pull over so I could have support from Terrence, who's driving, hopefully. But I think you're right. Like, you can't even say, like, first-time versus
I don't know.
birthers because it could be different per kid, so...
Yeah, I didn't want anyone touching me when I had Evie. I didn't want anyone touching me or looking in my direction. And then for Brock, I was just a floundering fish.
And it also depends on if you're almost to the place you are going. Because it's like you're still trying to make it to the place.
Right.
And there could still be a chance that you could, unless the baby's, like, crowning.
Right.
But
crowning!
I was going to say, when they're coming out that fast, the chances are you're probably not going to make
it. If the baby's crowning, then I was saying, is like, then they go to, like, pull over the car, and they're, like, braking as the baby's coming out. You're just like, ah!
You might just get them out that last little bit.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on the person and the situation. Jess, turn your phone off.
Okay.
For the love.
Yeah, so, I wanted to talk about a car birth, well, almost car birth that I had, because... As a doula...
Was this the one that we did together? Oh, okay.
As a doula, so usually I go to people's houses, and there's plenty of warning before we would have to go to the hospital, because this is a hospital client. And I got to her house, and, like, her contractions were totally just like, la 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 la. And then she went to the bathroom, and I heard her on the toilet, like, all of a sudden just, like, loud, and I thought I heard a. And
and
I was like,
what was that?
so I was like, did you just push a little?
And
she's
no.
Maybe. I was like, shit. And usually when I transfer someone to the hospital, I drive behind them, so I have my own car. But when that kind of thing happens,
Nope.
And I remember when I was in doula training, and the my doula trainer talking about like being in the back of cars, and I was like, that sounds so amazing. I can't imagine that ever happening to me. And so we get in the car. I'm like, I'm getting in the back of the car with you. And so we're driving, and she's like, I'm pushing. The baby is coming. So she pulls down her.
Did she do it all herself?
No, she pulls down her sweatpants. I didn't have gloves or anything at that time, so I'm holding her sweatpants to give her perineal support, sweatpants perineal support, and the
perineal pants support.
Yes, the dad is just cruising down the road. There was no pulling over happening, and so I'm trying to call the hospital while giving her perineal
Was
support.
baby head visible at this point?
Yes. And so I'm giving perineal support. I've got my phone in the other hand, and I'm trying to find the Winchester Hospital. I'm and then I'm calling, and I'm like, we're on our way. There's a baby coming out. I just wanted to let you know. Where should we go? And they were like, okay, don't come up to OB. Go straight to the ER. The emergency room landing. And I was like, okay.
And by the way, everything's fine.
Yeah. But I was like, this is a lot of multitasking I'm doing here. So, right as we're, pulling up
and
to
now
the...
you're a birth assistant, so you're doing stuff like that all the time.
So then, so actually the baby's head wasn't visible at that point, but she, has this big push, and a huge bulging bag comes out of her.
Oh, no, you're no sweatpants gonna stop that.
And I was
Is there an umbrella?
I was like, oh my god.
It's like you're trying to scoot away in the trunk as far as you can go.
Yes. And so I'm prepared for it.
It's like those water park slides where they come down and they splash you, and you want to get splashed for your house. I'm like,
yeah. So then her water breaks, and it was just
Did it explode all over you?
It didn't explode all over but me, but it flooded her car. And so we're almost there. The baby's head comes out. When we pulled in, the baby's head was out, but the shoulders hadn't come yet. And I'm still helping deliver. And of course the ER just
panic.
Freaks out.
I think I would have been don't open the door. I was like, just do a loop. We'll just get
Lock
the shoulders
the
out,
doors.
and then we'll go to the ER.
When we pulled in, I jumped up front so they could help her in the back, but the baby came immediately afterwards, and they were freaking out, and they're like, we need to cut the cord. This isn't good. And the baby was fine.
Oh my god!
And I knew how important delayed cord clamping was for them, so I stood up over the back seat, and I
cord milking,
and I grabbed the baby's cord, and I milked it 3 times, and I was and then
okay, now you can cut it.
And then they took the baby. So then after they brought her upstairs, I was like, don't worry, I'll move your car real quick to a parking spot. And
I'll also go take you to a car detailer and go get it cleaned up for
so
you.
I don't know if there's any way to do that. So as I moved it to the spot, when I hit the brakes, I heard
oh my god.
You could tell the water had gone all down into under the seat, and I could hear it sloshing back and forth. So the purpose of that story was
bring trash bags.
The person that I was talking to for this birth, I was like, get a Chuck's pad or one of those incontinent pads
or something,
or bring a towel. And so she actually heard that in her head too and did that. So that's always, if you think you can have a fast birth, or if you're just traveling to your birth space, it's always good to sit on a towel or a Chuck's pad or something.
Or 7.
Yes.
Just keep some in your car.
Yeah.
I think I keep kicking the table.
It's fine.
The one that we had, I've only had one. Well, we had the one very near miss of the car.
Mm-hmm.
I think if she were not a primate, or if she were not a mall-tip, the baby would have come out in the car.
Sure.
100%.
Sure. Her next one's gonna be so fast.
Yeah, hopefully they have a home birth. But then
wait, you're saying she wasn't a multi-tip?
No, she was a primate.
Oh, okay.
And she was pushing.
That makes more sense.
In the car, and when we talk about this one all the time because it's such a funny memory, but because we were on the 3-way talk.
Yes.
And as we're driving, she's like, oh! She's just sounding like this badass.
Fierce warrior.
And then she'd yell, and I'd say, is the baby on the inside or the outside? And then Jess would say, the outside, pull over, inside, keep going. And then, is the baby on the inside or the baby is on the inside? inside, keep going. And we just all were like, and the husband's like, yeah, we got this. It was just so awesome.
When I was doing that car birth, I was thinking to myself, though, from my doula training, I was like, I've come full circle.
Yeah.
What is happening? This is so chaotic.
This isn't as much fun as I thought it would be.
No,
Remember that time I thought this would be cool?
it's not that fun.
I hate driving 100 million miles an hour towards someone. Like,
Oh, it's the worst.
it's like I've gotten so used to it, so the birth part doesn't bother me. It's just, if I can't hear the baby.
Or see or feel you can use any of your senses to know what's going on.
Of course, Dakota and Jordan are amazing, so they were easy. 'Cause she's like describing everything, but most people aren't like that. So they'll be like, the baby's blue, the baby's not breathing, the baby's this, and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
We did have one baby in the car, but I will say, I told her not to get in her car.
Yes.
And she did it anyway. But it was the same thing. Her husband looked at her and said, do not have your baby in this van. And she said, it's too late.
A lot of people buy new vehicles too when their family's growing. So can you imagine? That would be so awful.
She said, it's too late. The head's already out. And the head was
no.
completely in the call. So she had to
cool.
like take it off, and he pulled over and they did it together. But then when they got to the center,
They did it together with the pullover method?
with the they did the pullover method together. But it was so funny because she got to the center, the baby was great, and we did her postpartum. And then when I went to wash her clothes, because they were just her whole van, the same thing. It was like sloshing and
You just
disgusting.
need like a shop vac at that point. Which...
So I washed her sweater, but then when I pulled it out of the washing machine, I was like, what is that?
Was it in my brain?
It was the entire call, and it just peeled away, and I was like, oh, look what I found.
In our washing
Look, it was in the washing machine, and we were like, ew.
It's like, do you want to frame this and dry it?
It's very clean amniotic sac.
The cleanest this sack will ever be.
Sacks generally aren't clean.
Yeah. So then we like to say to people too, whether you pull over or not, actually you have to pull over, but you can always call 911 to have someone close to you.
And to meet you.
And then you can refuse to go if everything's okay.
Yeah.
But most people don't end up doing that.
Yeah. Most people, after talking through stuff and having us on the phone, generally feel pretty safe.
Yeah.
Overwhelmed, but safe.
So we're gonna go to break soon, but I wanted to say before we went to break that because you were in Florida,
I was.
and so when they told us that your voice is in their head, like, when the birth is going fast, everything is fine. And I was like, oh, Kim, you were there in spirit. And I said, don't you wish we could attend all of our births from Florida in spirit and still be helpful?
We would be living our best life.
They're doing digital doula care. Why can't we do
I can't get behind the digital dual care. I mean, I know it's
during COVID, it was
I
a
think
good option.
I think it's
but
better than no care, but man, I have a hard time
You
with
can't
it.
be hands-on if you
Well,
have
that's
the
because
option.
we're old now, and we're having a hard time with any new technology.
I can't.
As exhibited by Kim's lack of awareness of Google Photos.
I knew it would be helpful, but I feel like it would be so hard for me not to be able to feel their energy and touch them or do anything. It would just be like,
It's
You're
doing births on the
doing a
phone with
good
people.
job.
It's so hard.
Oh, sorry, I'm losing service.
Yeah. What's up?
We're getting another call right now.
Do the what? What?
In the butt? What?
No, I do not wish to do that.
Well, on that note, let's go to break.
Break.
Almost hit the wrong button.
Welcome back from that delightful break.
All 2 seconds of it because we are cruising today,
Yes.
friends.
Yes.
Just like a car
How's your
in
face
labor.
feeling?
I don't want to talk about my face.
They
Terrence
miss me jiggling your thighs.
Yeah, they did that. Terrence says my fault because I said our baby looks like a face eater when we did our ultrasound, so now the kid's literally eating my face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
bad
really
now
just
that
my
you put
fault.
the gel on it.
It's awful. It's so uncomfortable.
It's gonna get better.
Pregnancy's so fucking weird.
You're gonna push her out, and everything's gonna come out with it. Like your face
and my extra thigh. that would be great.
No, that's gonna stay. We'll run it off together.
That sounds terrible and so good at the same time. I daydream about running. I'm like, oh, One
You
day.
know what though? If you run with the baby, like if you get one of those jogging strollers,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why that always used to make me feel so overwhelmed the thought of jogging with a stroller in front of me.
Yeah.
But I'll go jogging with you if you
I'm
push
definitely
the stroller.
planning on passing off the kid.
I'll push the
on
stroller and
runs.
you can jog.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'll jog too, but
Thank you guys for being so invested in my self-care. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's
I
my
just-
self-care.
It's more like that. You don't want to see me walk around with my massive thighs.
ours. It's our
Our
self care. I was like, no, you are not allowed to wear exercise pants because they swish. Meredith, hold still. Are you kidding? Mine's the same way. You're the only one whose legs are like.
Proportionate
Yeah.
to your body.
That's not true.
Also, I just like to say that we spend a lot of time harshing on our bodies, but we really do love our bodies.
I do love
Let's
my
be very
body.
clear. We do a lot of really positive affirmations up for ourselves as well.
I was getting ready to jump in the shower this morning before we went to our visit, and I was like, "Oh, Chuck, guess what?" And he like comes running in the bathroom. He's like, "What?" And he's looking around, and I'm like, I'm getting naked, and I'm talking, and I'm like, "And then this, and then this, and then I get to do this," and he's not like saying
Yeah,
anything.
because he's just looking at your ass,
And then I was
probably.
like, I look up, and he's like, and I was like, "Oh my god, did you hear anything I said?" He goes, "Boobies," or something like that. It's like, stop. And he goes, no, seriously, go ahead, I'm listening. But
You're
then
like,
he's
no, I already said what I wanted to
He's
say.
like slowly, and he's just like, we had already had sex. It's not like, and he's like, I'm sorry, and I was like, oh my god, hold on. So then I climbed into the shower. I was like, is that better? He goes, yes. Now I'm.
now I can hear what
Now I can
Now
hear
I'm
what
imagining
you're
you in a shower, so really it's not that much better.
I guess that's why he knew what to say about. So this morning when me and Kim were driving to our appointment, I was like messing around with my Snapchat filters, and I found one that makes me like bald and gives me a beard.
Oh, it looks so good. I really hope that you would give us permission to share that.
Yes, that's a yes.
It's so embarrassing. So I sent it to Kim, and she sent it to Chuck because I just started bartending.
Yeah.
And all the.
Were you like, oh, here's your new staff member?
And so Kim sends the picture to Chuck, and she goes, "You think all the men at the Legion will like this if she looked like this?" Or because he had said something like, "As long as she has a vagina, they'll love her" or something.
Yes, and then
I don't know, actually. That does not. Legion's not a
And he
safe
goes,
space.
well, they won't know that she has a vagina if she looks like that. Then we decided she would wear assless chaps.
Oh my god, you
But
guys.
a man
this is
face?
Too
And
much.
I said, well, what about that? Those rednecks would be so confused. They'd be like, vagina, man, vagina. And he goes, they would all, what did he say?
He said, "All the drunks who can't hold their heads up, we've fallen in love." Good one.
We love our Legion guys
We
and
do.
gals, but that was funny.
I'm enjoying my bartending job as well, and I
Yeah.
promise I won't wear assless chaps because that would not be
Don't.
considered work
Would
appropriate.
not be. I'm just here
Or
to
just appropriate for a
squeaking,
life
like,
in general.
the leather.
Oh my
It'd be
God.
like, never mind, there's too many visuals.
Okay,
Like,
who are we
on
shouting
that
out
note,
to?
we have a couple shout outs. So the first one, and she was on our episode last week, and I'm so excited. I loved recording with Dr.
Oh, it was so
Emily.
good. I feel bad because like as if supporting us our podcast by recording with us wasn't enough. She also is now a Patreon, so she's just like above and beyond.
So Dr. Emily became a patron. So here's your shout out. We loved hanging out with you, and yes, we do want to get lunch with you, and we do want to drink wine with you, and do all the things.
And
that
we will
talked
try
about.
to put on nicer
Stop.
clothes next time.
Yes.
No,
You
what?
got dressed up and we did not.
And I really want to do this poll. This
Oh,
betting
yeah.
thing.
We'll do
Because
it, yeah, because we're both due. She's
They're
due the day
they're
after
due
me.
one day apart. So, if everyone wants to, anyone who wants to join in on the poll, send in who you think is going to have their baby first.
I just want to say though, Dr. Emily is going to do whatever the fuck that she wants to do.
Yeah.
So if there's a poll on it,
Well,
and
we won't show her.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, if like she's
Or
put
even
it in her head
better,
that she's gonna have
we
this baby
can't show
after me,
you
she's
either.
gonna do
Okay,
it.
even
Yeah.
better. I want you to send in who you think's going to have their baby first, but I also, if you want to do guesses, you know how people do guesses like, Meredith's going to have her baby on this day at this time.
Yeah,
you could do
okay.
that for both of them. And then the person who's closest will be the winner, and we'll shout you out.
Yeah.
Oh, and then you can come have a beer with
I was
us.
gonna say, then we'll buy you a beer.
Yes, for sure.
Because I'll be able to drink beer.
Also, I'm really sorry, Dr. Emily. We did not, I left the next morning for Florida, so we did not upload the YouTube video.
Apparently the three of us can't accomplish anything without all three of us being present.
That is correct. And so I think Jess is going to
I
try
have
to
to
do
edit
it
it.
so we can get your visit because you actually wore a nice sweater.
Yeah.
And you have your cute Christmas tree
I
in the
think I
background.
wore my moonshine hat.
Apparently we had matching outfits on. I even noticed that. Everyone keeps commenting on that. I was like, oh, I didn't even
I
notice.
did not notice.
I was not dressed up at all for that video.
So we love you so much. And
Yes.
I mean, I knew I would like you, but we had not hung out like that. So when I went back over to Chantilly premiere, I was like, oh my god, I actually really like Dr. Emily. And they were like, duh.
Yeah,
Like,
literally everyone
she's-
you've ever talked to says they're madly in love with her.
She's only the most amazing human. I'm like, well, I see it now.
Yeah. And all of our other patrons out there, I just want to say again that we appreciate you so much.
Yes,
And I'm about to
we do.
flood Patreon with a bunch of posts. So
We're sending the bald Jessica picture.
Yeah, against
Oh
her
my.
will. She doesn't
Yeah.
get a choice.
happening.
So then the second person we have to shout out. So speaking of drinking, I was at box office the other night.
Shocking.
And
What?
yeah, I was at box office, and there was a lovely two ladies sitting around the corner from the
Oh,
bar.
yeah. I couldn't figure out where
And
we're going with
one
this.
of them said, "Oh my God, you look really familiar." She goes, "Do you have a podcast?" And I was like, "Yes." And she goes, "Oh my God, are you Jess McKee?" And I was like, "Yes." She's like, "I love your podcast." So I told her I was going to
love
shout her
it.
out. I actually got really embarrassed. The bartender was like, "Wow, you are really red, Jess." And I was like, "Shut up."
It's weird when that happens.
There's only certain kinds of personal attention I can handle. This is not one of them.
And so we wanted to give a shout out to Rachel Kosar.
Thank you so much.
And you should come have a beer with us more often at box office, and we hope to be seeing more of you in the future. Yeah.
I'm just gonna stare at you uncomfortably while I hear
Yeah.
talking. Here's the guy you kind of look like as a bald person.
Oh,
Let me see.
interesting. His eyebrows are
On point. Well,
Interesting.
yours are not.
no, my eyebrows are not on point.
No,
Okay,
not
so
like that.
let's get to our birth story of the week.
Yes, I was not there.
You were not there. You were there in
Well,
spirit.
no
from
one was
Florida.
there.
Yeah. Well, somebody was there.
Somebody was there.
So this birth, I was kind of worried that this was going
Yes.
to happen. Because her first birth, I'll say a little bit about that. Her first birth was very similar, where she kind of had sporadic contractions, and then all of a sudden they picked up, and by the time she got to the center, she was already like 9 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
But she ended up getting like a lip, and then because of that, the pushing stage getting to like 10 centimeters and pushing the baby out. They were actually there several more hours before the baby came out.
Yes, it was a lot.
So, but knowing that she was a primate at that time, usually that stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, it's a completely
with
different
the
game.
tips. And so the fact that she
The
went,
mall tips.
the fact that she went from like nothing to 9 so quickly, I was like, oh man, your next birth is gonna
And
be.
she lives pretty far away, right?
Yeah.
She was an hour from the center. So we had talked a lot about that, and we had also I'd given her the suggestion to put a towel or like a Chuck's
Yes.
pad in the car,
Mm-hmm.
which she said she remembered because they texted me at 6:30 in the morning, and she said her contractions were 10 minutes apart, and I was like, well, are they intense? And she was like, I mean, some of them are a little bit more, but not really.
She's just one of those very high pain tolerance people.
And even today, she was saying she was fine. She was telling
Yes.
her husband to take his time, feed their son, do this, do that. She remembered going out to the car. She was like, oh, Jess said we should bring a towel, so let's go back and grab a towel. Like
Clearly, like, in it,
No,
like,
but
able to be
no
completely
idea.
present and what
no
was
idea.
happening, yeah.
totally fine. So yeah, they texted me at 6:30 and said her contractions were 10 minutes apart. And Kim was in Florida, and I was like, I kind of in my head was like, I feel like maybe they should just head in now, but what if that stalls it? Like, if I tell the midwives I'm coming in with somebody who's 10 minutes apart, they're gonna be like,
No, you're
Get
not.
out of this, Dana.
Get outta here.
Get
so
out
I
of
was
here.
like, let's just watch it for over the next 1 hour and see if they get any closer. If anything changes, let me know immediately and we'll head in. So I didn't hear from her for like 50 minutes. And exactly 50 minutes later, they text me and they say, they went from 10 minutes apart to all of a sudden 3 minutes apart. Which her story was a little bit different. She said when they left, they were still like 7 minutes apart.
Yes.
And so when he said 3 minutes apart, I was like,
oh no.
Shit.
Oh, interesting. So do you think that they were actually closer and she just didn't realize how close they were?
Maybe, but he said they were 10 minutes apart when they texted me at 6:30.
Yeah. That's like one of the...
There have been a couple moms that have come in claiming that their contractions were like every 2 to whatever minutes. And then when I get there, I ask, I'm like, well, send me a screenshot. We're not using an app. And then when I start timing them, I'm like,
we also have to take
gosh.
into consideration, too, like, that transferring of space can space things out, too. But,
yes,
I do like the apps as proof of what's actually going on. Because, like, you might think you're timing it in your head, but when you're in it, it's really hard to...
Yeah, or the opposite. They'll be like, they're still in, like, 6 or 7 minutes. And then I look and I'm like, oh, my God, your contractions are 3 minutes apart. What are you talking about? And they're like, oh, we didn't realize. I'm like, it says it right here.
Yeah. Well, it's also like, I hate those phone calls. I'm so wary of that conversation now because I'm always like, let's check in the next hour. And it's like, let me be very clear. You don't have to wait an hour to contact me. Like,
if anything changes,
please call back.
Because it keeps happening. Like, we missed a bunch of births. Like, we did our precipitous episode was because they waited that hour. And I'm like,
well, you said to wait an hour and the baby came out, so we just stayed home.
So then, so I ended up... So I was like, all right, let's go. I'm meeting at the center. I'm going to fill up the tub because she wanted to have her baby in the water so bad because she didn't get to last time. And so, so I rush to the center. I end up calling Jen. Jen rushes to the center. We get there. And I guess they took their time a little bit more even getting in the car from what she said.
Yes, and she said today when we saw her, she was like, just take your time.
Yes.
There's no rush. It's not that bad. So he took his time.
All right, super mom.
I know. She even said...
It's like, we no longer trust your judgment.
She even said that the first half of the ride was totally fine. She's like, I had to stop and breathe, but it wasn't bad. Like, it was fine.
Yeah.
And then she said that... So I'm thinking, okay, they might actually make it. And so, like, 15 minutes out from the birth center, he texts me and he's like... We're 15 minutes out. Her contractions are 2 minutes apart. I was like, oh no. This is a race.
And she said that wasn't her mom originally in the front seat, in the front or up front. He was in the front seat. Then her mom was in the middle, and she was in the way back.
Yes.
Laying down. And she said that at that point they started timing them, and it was like 7 minutes, 4 minutes, 2 minutes. Oh crap!
Yeah.
She and her mind was like, oh no.
I was like, this is going to be a race. I don't know what's going to happen.
And I said, I told you not to do that. She goes, I know, it just wasn't bad.
Did you guys think about setting up the downstairs birth room instead? I know she wanted the tub, but did that ever come into your mind?
She really wanted the tub. So it was like either she's going to have the baby and make it up the stairs or she's going to have it in the car.
Yeah.
And so then like we're getting to the point where it's like they should just be about here. So like when it was like 5 minutes out, I get a text that was like, her water broke, and then like a minute and a half later, a text that said, baby's here. And I was
like the whole baby?
No phone call, nothing.
It happened just so quickly.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because she said that it had not been bad. She said that it was only intense for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
So her whole labor was intense for 15 minutes.
Probably the longest 15 minutes of her life.
And he did not realize what was happening, so he did not pull over.
So when she yelled,
the baby is coming!
The baby's coming! He goes, yes, it is.
It'll be here.
Be here soon.
The center. It's not going to be that
He's
much
just trying to like encourage her, like,
and she's like, no, the baby's actually coming. So he turns around. He's like, and
no, he looked in the mirror.
He looks in the mirror. He's like, oh, it's a baby head.
There's a baby head. She goes, what do you think I meant?
But she's such a badass.
I wish I got this on video. This all sounds so absurd.
She's such a badass. She had a bed, like, because it was like a huge conversion van. So she had a bed in the back that she had been laying on. So she got to like the middle of the van.
She climbed up.
What?
Yes.
Over a seat?
As soon as she felt
between the seats.
Yeah, when she felt pushy, she climbed forward and grabbed on
the oh shit handle, and her other hand
and then
was
just
on
like
the seat,
and she squatted down.
Yeah, she did. I love that.
Gave birth in the squatting position.
But tell the best part.
I wish I'd taken a photo of that.
Tell the best part.
Oh yeah, so she gave birth in the squatting position in a moving van. She said she was like moving up and down.
Just rocking that
bounce
baby under the
there.
pubic
But
bone.
the best part is that her mom was in the van with them, so her
Mhm.
mom got to deliver her grandbaby.
So
Yes.
sweet.
So when
How
she,
is the mom handling all of this?
Oh,
she's
so
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
She's amazing. You could just tell when you meet her that she's such a cool mom.
So
Yeah.
chill. And
Yeah.
so I was like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. And she goes, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You know?
I didn't really have a choice, but thanks.
Yeah, and so when I made them coffee, because there was not much for me to do after,
I mean, what are you going to do?
I gave her at the center. There's just a cup that says midwife, so I gave it to the
Wow.
grandma. I was
I
like,
love
"You
that.
are the honorary midwife of the day because you delivered your grandbaby."
That's so sweet.
That's
Aw,
awesome.
You are
I
the
love that.
abuela midwife.
So we were like trying to redo it where she's like hanging and bouncing and the grandmother's like trying to get the baby. We were just
You should
laughing.
totally
It was
have
so
them
awesome.
recreate their birth photos in the car.
She'd be like, I don't think so.
She's like, once is enough for that experience.
So
They're just so amazing. So
Yeah.
then did they do postpartum upstairs?
No, we
Did the
took
downstairs.
The trundle,
Yeah,
or
we
the
did the bed downstairs.
Murphy bed, that's
and,
what they're called.
And the crazy thing is that the baby started nursing immediately too, because they were only 5 minutes
Oh.
out.
Yes.
They were only 5 minutes out when she gave birth in the car. Most babies that are born in the center take like up to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The baby was already latched and nursing, and she
That's so
was like
cool. Was
still
her-
squatting on the ground when they pulled into
Oh,
the
she had to
center.
squat for 5 minutes.
I mean, she wasn't squatting. She's like
in a
like on her
position.
knees or like
Yeah.
sitting down. Yeah.
I'm surprised her
Nursing
placenta
her
didn't
baby.
come out,
On the floor.
honestly.
Yeah,
Me
her
too.
placenta did not come out. Her placenta came
She-
out. But we had to take off her because her pants were just like pulled down around her
Ankles,
ankles.
yeah.
Oh my god.
But the crazy thing is that we're trying to get her out of the van, but somehow the baby's umbilical cord had gotten all like tangled in her pants. So we had
What happened? Like the baby like came through her leg hole.
I
Like,
don't know. So we're trying to
like how would that happen?
we're trying to like get her pants off around the umbilical cord, and then we had to just like she basically was just naked. So then we're like get that big blue blanket
Yeah.
because she's getting out of the car, and so we're just like we're like screening her with a blanket. Like
Was it
wrapping
daytime
it
hours?
around
Like
her.
people were in the office across
It was
the
daytime
street?
hours. Yeah, it was like 8:30.
Anybody at the Department of Corrections would be like, "What is happening?"
What in the hell? Martha, what are they doing over there in that birth center?
Damn crazy hippies.
I don't even know what's happening over there.
That baby's in her sweatpants.
That's a nice place to
So-
come out.
She goes, Jess asked if the baby had come out crying, and she goes, oh yeah, that baby came out crying and hungry.
Yeah.
Crying and hungry, latched right on. And I was like, how did your baby latch right on?
It's amazing.
What?
So amazing. I know, right?
I don't know why. I change my voice when I'm beating other people.
I do that too.
Like
That's
we
not what
already
she
were
sounds
offensive because we were like big, pretty country, right? And then that's our happiness.
Oh, well, I mean, when you're talking about a
Too much
corrections office,
happening in
a
this.
correctional
Oh.
office in Virginia, I think I can make that
Oh
accent.
man,
Yeah.
you're just like channeling your Towns Brooke right now, super hard.
She's
Just
allowed
so-
to make fun of that accent. Yeah, she's
Because
married
it's
to a
her life.
redneck.
That's where I live. Thank you.
So yeah, she came in. Ended up having the placenta in the bed. The baby was just all latched on. I just want to give it like then they bought us breakfast, and I got a smoked salmon bagel with capers, and it made my
Yes.
entire life worth living.
So they
So the highlights for you were the coffee and the
Yes. Yes.
So then we asked them like, first we asked, can we tell your story today? And they were like, you have a podcast?
Great. Now don't listen
No,
to
which
it.
because I don't tell people, and we had it when they had their first
Yeah.
too, but I just don't tell people. So then I
It's
said,
good
what?
to know people before we tell them about
Right.
our podcast.
So I was like, what do you want people to know? Like, what suggestions would you give? Like, what recommendations if there's going to be a car birth?
Yes.
And he said, yes. First off, have a van.
With the
Yes.
bed in the back.
Yeah, and then secondly, pull over.
Oh, so he wishes
And
he
she
pulled
goes,
She
it.
said-
yeah, when your wife tells you the baby is coming, pull over.
And he goes, no, don't pull over. Just keep going. So they were not in agreement
Right.
about the
So
pull
I was
over
like,
or the not pull over method.
See? So yeah.
Yeah. So She said it would have been more
I
comfortable.
think the woman laboring gets to make the decision
Yes.
ultimately.
Yeah.
Though, let's be honest.
Because she was like, it's already uncomfortable enough riding in a car in labor. She's like, so the car is moving, and I'm pushing, and I'm holding myself up. And I was like,
Oh my.
wow.
It just sounds like a ride. It sounds
Yeah.
like some sort of
A
an
rodeo.
action
It sounds like a
ride.
freaking rodeo.
yeah, it is. It's like a movie.
Birth
But they did
rodeo.
it.
Yes.
Because the birth was fast, but the baby was awesome, and
Yep.
they just
You did it. 'Cause
Powered
you
through
don't
it.
get a choice at that point. You just
And
gotta go with the flow.
because they brought that towel, like me and Katie went out to the van to clean it, and it was not. There was only one spot of like blood on the carpet. We were able to get that out with hydrogen peroxide.
the end.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's your
So-
only clean car birth you'll ever experience.
There was some stuff on the seats, but they had leather seats, so that wiped off real easy.
I was
So
gonna say,
guess
I thought you were gonna be like, that potentially was there
Yeah.
for the birth.
having leather seats for a car birth also could be helpful,
Yeah.
so you can just
Oh,
wipe,
man.
wipe stuff, spray and wipe,
I
spray
can't
and
imagine if it were
Cloth.
wipe. Yeah.
Oh, perfect timing. The kids are home and it's time to go.
So I think we're gonna wrap up this precipitous episode for precipitous
Unlike
car
you do for the
births.
pull-out method.
Yeah. But again, thank you to all of our patrons out there.
Yes, yes.
And for all of you moms who have such, fast births and give birth in the car, you're total badasses, just like all the other moms who give birth no matter how you do it. And the only other thing we have to say is
Cheers.
Cheers! Ooh. That's a weird sound.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's not alcohol.